Hello everyone and welcome back to another new album video. We're now on week 32, and this week we're taking a look at No Name by Jack White. First released July 19th, 2024. Some notable tracks off this album include Old Scratch Blues, That's How I'm Feeling, What's the Rumpus, and Morning at Midnight. This album, I guess, kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody really knew it was going to be coming out. It's a very good album. I first saw it posted somewhere. I think it was on one of the music subreddits. It may have just been like slash R music, and it was just about this album that came out over the weekend in wide release, but I guess it was released a few weeks ago, in physical form only. I have some notes here about it. We'll get to that in just a moment. But one post I saw on Reddit was I didn't know I needed a garage rock album this year, or it wasn't on my bingo card or something like that. And I saw that post, and I was just like, okay, I'm definitely going to check that album out because it sounds like it's very good. And it is. It's basically it's like a garage rock album. I'm not super familiar or super. I'm not a huge fan of Jack White. I know some stuff from the White Stripes. I've listened to a couple of those albums. I think I've listened to one or two of his other solo albums, and I'm probably going to go listen to more after listening to this one because this one is really good. But we're going to get to the notes, and then we'll go through that. We'll get through the track list and all that as well. So we put this down here. Get the notes open. There we are. So we have Jack White, No Name. Again, first released, July 19th, 2024. That was in the limited kind of physical release, and then the wide release was on August 2nd, so just a few days ago. This is the sixth studio album by him. Basically, from what I was reading about this album, it was a surprise release, and it was only it was on vinyl only. I think the only way you can actually buy this album now is buying the vinyl. I don't think there's a CD release because I went to Amazon to check it out, and I think right now it's only available digitally, unless you happen to get one of these vinyl copies. And I think it was a 1 day only kind of thing. But yeah, surprise release, 1 day only vinyl, and it was at Third Man record stores in Detroit, London, and Nashville. So if you went there, you were able to pick it up. You see here, yeah, and apparently it was also just released in a very generic, just white sleeve. It just said No Name stamped on it, so basically people didn't know what they were really getting when they got it. But we'll get back a little bit back to that, kind of the way it was released in just a moment. But it kind of has, according to my research, some various genres at play here, like blues rock, garage rock, and punk blues. I don't really know a whole lot about punk blues or the difference between blues rock. I guess blues rock is maybe kind of the style of Stevie Ray Vaughan, even though I think that's more just straight up blues. But basically the genres are blues rock, garage rock, and kind of punk blues. And it has a very kind of raw feel to it. It doesn't feel very polished. That's kind of, I guess, where the garage rock kind of genre comes from. I don't know how it was recorded or how he recorded it, but just the kind of sound and style of it reminds me. So it's kind of stripped back. It's a little bit more basic, if you want to call it that. I don't mean basic in a bad way, but more kind of like simplified instrumentals, basically kind of like a back to basics kind of thing. And it definitely reminded me of Wasting Light by the Foo Fighters, where they had recorded, I think, their two albums, which were In Your Honor and Echo Silence, Patience and Grace, at their studio in LA, Studio 606. And then by the time, I think, let me see, they did Foo Fighters, Color to Shape, There's Nothing Left to Lose, One by One, In Your Honor, and then Echo Silence. So I think the seventh album was Wasting Light. And that was recorded basically at Dave Grohl's house, kind of in a more old school style, they recorded the tape and stuff like that. Butch Vig produced it. But just the way that album sounded, it was more simplified, I think, as far as production than some of their previous, and then some of their albums that came out after. Jack White's new album reminded me of that, just with the kind of more raw nature of the album, the more stripped back kind of production and instrumentals. Sometimes a back to basic style album is kind of just exactly what you needed. And this album, even though with when you strip back the production, I think it means that you have to kind of focus more on the actual like songwriting. You really can't rely on a lot of like production tricks or fancy kind of instrumentals to kind of get through it. So I think it actually is maybe potentially more challenging for like the songwriter to do that. So I definitely commend this album for doing that because it has like a simpler production value, but I think the songs just absolutely slap. Like the whole album, like it kind of came out of nowhere, and I think it took a lot of people by surprise. And I think it's a excellent album, even though like the stripped back production, I definitely feel that it works perfectly here. So now, kind of back to the kind of release of this record. So Third Man Records, they had again the stores were located in Detroit, London, and Nashville. And I guess what would happen if you went into the store on that particular day, you would buy something, and you were just given one of these Jack White albums, like no charge, just basically free with any purchase kind of thing. And apparently, like the employees weren't briefed on what it was; they were just told, "Hey, just include one of these with every purchase." Like there was basically like, if somebody buys something, give them this. So kind of like a almost like guerrilla style like marketing campaign, if you want to call it that. Even though there really was like the marketing was that there was essentially no marketing, which is kind of like a very interesting thing. Everybody just got these albums, and then it feels very old school. Like it's like somebody just got this album. They're like, "Hey, I bought another record there, but I also got this free record. Let me play the record I bought." And then, "Hey, I wonder what's on this free record." And then they're like, "Oh, this is like really good. It's like a new Jack White record." Let me see what else I had there. Purchase the stores. Um, like I said, there was a DJ, I think, in Detroit that basically went shopping that day, bought something else, got this record, started playing it, probably just like listening to it, and then it got a little bit of radio play, at least in Detroit, because basically he just brought the record in and played a few tracks off of it. Um, so just a very interesting way to go about like releasing the record. I kind of get the vibe or the feeling that Jack White cares more about just like the art than kind of like marketing it or anything like that. Like he's kind of just like I just want my art to get out there, and even if it's not like like even like like if they're not doing like a huge marketing campaign behind it or anything like that, he definitely seems like he just cares more about the actual like art and the artistry behind the music, which is really cool. So we got that. Came out to pretty good reviews. I'm gonna pop those reviews up here really quick. And then after that, we'll get to the track list here. We're just going to go through these ratings here. So, Any Decent Music gave it a 7.9 out of 10. Metacritic has it out of 86 out of 100. Clash has it out looks like a 8 out of 10. Exclaim has it out of 7 out of 10, which is still decent. Guardian has it out of 4 out of 5. Let's see. The Line of Best Fit has it at an 8 out of 10. Mojo has it at a 4 out of 5. Rolling Stone has it at a 4 out of 5. And Uncut has it at a 4.5 out of 5. So overall, pretty favorable reviews, pretty good reviews. I think like the only one that's kind of like an outlier is that one that's like a 7 out of 10 maybe. And let me see what else we had here. Or 7.9 is actually close to an 8. So like, yeah, I guess Exclaim with 7 out of 10 is the only kind of outlier where it's maybe a little more on like the average side. I guess average would be like a 5, but like, so still above average. So pretty good reviews overall. I want to say like I listened to this album over the weekend, and it just had a very good time with it. It's not very long. I think it comes in at like 43 minutes or so, which will then bring us to our track listing here. Let me just go down to here. Yeah, so track listing, 43 minutes and 3 seconds. And then we have 13 tracks on the album here. So 13 tracks, 43 minutes roughly. Track 1 is Old Scratch Blues. These tracks are all kind of very, I think like the longest one is maybe like 4 minutes. So they're all kind of like maybe like 3 minutes, maybe 3.5, or like I guess 4 minutes and 9 seconds is the longest. But kind of like 3 minutes, some of them are just a couple minutes. So it's a very kind of easy listen in my opinion. But anyway, back to the track listing. So track 1, we have Old Scratch Blues. Track 2, we have Bless Yourself. Track 3 is That's How I'm Feeling. Track 4 is It's Rough on Rats, and then parentheses, if you're asking. Track 5 is Archbishop Harold Holmes. Track 6 is Bombing Out. Track 7 is What's the Rumpus. Track 8 is Tonight, and then in parentheses, Was a Long Time Ago. Track 9 is Underground. Track 10 is Number One with a Bullet. Track 11 is Morning at Midnight. Track 12 is Missionary. And lastly, at track 13, we have Terminal Arch Enemy Ending. Basically, Jack White does pretty much most of the stuff on this record. So guitars on all the tracks, vocals on all the tracks. He does keyboards on some, drums on some, and some of the other additional musicians. Not sure if I'm familiar with any of them, but we have like Olivia Jean, Patrick Keeler, David Swanson, Dominic Davis, Dan Mancini, Daru Jones, Quincy McCrae, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, Scarlett White, and then Carla Azar there. So pretty good team of like musicians, and like Jack White definitely comes across as kind of like a just a. I remember he was in like I think he was in the Garbage. Garbage did this documentary. I think it was included with the Absolute Garbage like box set. I think it was called like Thanks for Support or something like that. Or but I think I vaguely remember him being in it. And he's not in it very much, but he's hanging out with them backstage or in like some kind of like party or something. And I think he was talking about just making music, and even like just like he's like, hey, it doesn't matter if you have like like a $10,000 guitar or like a cheap like cigar box guitar. Like do what you got to do, just like have fun making music. And I got the vibe with this record that that's exactly what he set out to do. It's a very good, just kind of like garage rock style record. I highly recommend it. I'm definitely going to listen to it again. And this is one where I like kind of like I said in previous episodes that I don't really go through these episodes with like a plan. Sometimes like I might just hear something like day of or like a few days before and be like, we're doing that. Sometimes they're a little more planned out. But I remember reading about this record on Reddit, and then was like, you know what, I'm going to check that out because my whole goal this year is to listen to almost basically just as much music as possible. Especially new albums. Like my goal, I think initially was like listen to like one or two new albums a week, and then after I want to say like sometime in February, I was like listening to all the Grammy album of the year nominees for the previous Grammys. It was like this is a lot of fun. I just want to keep doing this. So like I just ended up listening to as much new music as possible. I think the goal now is to listen to 1,000 albums. I'm like in like the 600s at this point. So some of those other albums are probably going to show up on future episodes of this series. And then I'll probably maybe do like another series discussing all the albums I listen to. Like I can't do 1,000 in one video, but it'll be like just maybe like do them in like batches of like 100, like briefly just describing each album. I don't really know, but that's a different kind of probably series overall. But that is going to do it for this week's new album. We'll be back again in a week from now with a whole new album. No idea what that's going to be just yet. Like we said earlier, sometimes it's just maybe even like day of, just pick an album and go with it. But again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.